What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Today in this video, guys, I want to talk about what season it is. Yeah, besides being popping cold. Yeah, it's kind of cold, but it's not too bad. It's like 80 degrees out and I'm wearing sweats and yeah. No, I'm just kidding. It's not 80. It's like 40. It's pretty intense. But anyways, I want to talk to you guys about community season and how you can look for the coins that you're looking for, as in like what coins are strong. I'm going to show you guys the different teams and different metrics that you guys can use on your own research so you guys can learn how to fish. I'm not here to teach you. I'm not here to give you fish. I want you to learn how to fish. I'm going to get my ADHD notes out so you guys can follow along, but this is community season right here. Now, what are the very first metrics and things that I look for? Well, the first thing is the strong are the only ones that are going to survive, period. Just look back from 2017, look at all the coins that were just going nuts and ham, and look at them now. And you'll be like, what the snap? It's not even here. Let me just name a few of them. Electronium? Anyone? Ring a bell? Probably not, because it doesn't even show up on the radar anymore. One that still kind of shows up is Tron. Now Tron, it was like the next best thing since sliced bread. And now you look at Tron and you're like, oh yeah, it's the Justin Sun guy who basically dumped on everyone. That was one of the coins back in the day that was quote unquote popular. There are so many other ones. I just wanted to give those two examples. But only the strong will survive. I'll show you a couple of metrics you guys can use to determine which ones are strong and which ones you should look for as well throughout this video. Second, ones that are most active. Don't look for one where you get in the Discord or the Telegram and you ask a question and you come back a week later and no one's responded. That's probably not a community one you get behind. Because if it's like a chore for someone to respond, I don't want to be a part of that. Next, look for ones that are creative. We don't want a fork of this. We don't want a fork of that. Oh, we're the next big thing. Oh, when you're really just a fork of something. There are too many forks. Yes, it's fine to have a fork, but you need to have something that differentiates it from that other fork. You know, like if you fork a fork, you just have a fork. How about you fork a fork to make a spoon? Because, I mean, dude, sometimes I want to eat soup sometimes, and it's nice to have a spoon. Next, look for ones that are developing. And there's different metrics you guys can use. A good metric to use is GitHub. GitHub has a lot of information on there. In fact, you can actually pull that up directly on CoinGecko. I think we'll go ahead and show you guys how to do that. But right here, if you go into the GitHub, it'll actually take you to their GitHub portal. And you can go to their repositories, the packages, and look and see what's going on. If you see this pretty active, like updated 13 hours ago, 2 days, 2 days, 4 days, 5 days, 5 days. We already know Aave is pretty active. I mean, they just launched on, well, not just launched, but they launched on Avalanche. They launched on Polygon. They're on Ethereum. They're planning on launching on Fantom, planning on launching on CELO. So they're pretty active. But this is just a metric you guys can use for any of the other protocols. This is not the one-all be-all, but this just shows the developer activity. So it's kind of a nice metric to use. Now, ones that have sticking power. Me personally, I know Aave has some pretty good sticking power because I know it's used by a lot of protocols. Like I go over to Yearn Finance, they already have some Aave pools integrated into their system. I go over to My Finance or Cheat and I can look into some of their vaults and I see, oh, wait, here's an Aave vault right here. Here's an Aave token. Here's an Aave. Okay, so this protocol's using it. Yearn Finance is using it. Who else? Oh, yeah, cool. Polygon. Nice, they're using them as well. And then you go over on Abracadabra Money, you're like, oh yeah, they use Aave too. Wow, this is so cool. So the point is to show that, look, if there's a lot of protocols using it, it has some bit of sticking power. That means most people are going to want to keep using it instead of having change. A good example of this is an iPhone. Like, I keep using the iPhone because I don't want to change to an Android. I don't want to have to transfer my data and move it all around when I know I can just use an iPhone and move it to another iPhone and just call it a day. And it's easy to do. But if I change, it's going to be a whole new set of apps and a new layout on the phone I got to get used to. And it's like, what the snap? I already got like 100 different wallets I got to remember. Why do I want to change? I'm just kidding. Yeah, it's just sticking power. You don't want to change, and it's already been integrated with the dApps. Because now if another dApp is integrated with QiDao and they're integrated with Aave, well, that new dApp that's integrating with QiDao technically is using the quote-unquote sticking power with Aave. Because once you change one thing, you literally have to change everyone else. Now, next is look for strong devs, preferably ones that are irreplaceable. I have a couple devs in mind that I know of are irreplaceable, in my book at least. Just to name a few is Daniel Sesta over at Wonderland. You got Andre Cronje. He's over at the Fantom Foundation. He's also working on Yearn Finance. Those are the type of devs you want to look for who are constantly building things. In fact, what Daniel Sesta, this literally sold me on him. He goes, hey, if it's not built, I'ma build it. That's all I needed to hear. Is that makes me like, okay, I'm getting behind this guy. Now these are not the only two devs. I mean, like in fact, the dev behind Aave, he's brilliant. Stani is just he knows what he's doing. He was working on Aave before we know Aave as it is now. It was actually called ETHLend, and no one was really talking about it then. But he was constantly building and developing. So looking for people like that who have a vision and have a concept and an idea and are building on it and realize, okay, I'm going to keep building till it's built. Next is decentralized. How do you check the decentralization metric on here? Well, if you go on CoinGecko, there's a little button that says etherscan. This is an easy way to get to it, or you literally just go over to etherscan. If the token is an Ethereum-based token, you're most likely going to need to go to an etherscan. If it's on Polygon, then you go on polygonscan. And there's a little section that says holders. Once you go over to holders, you can see how distributed this Aave token is. Now I know you're saying, all right, well, 18% is in this contract right here. Well, you can't technically say 18% of the Aave tokens are in one person's wallet because this is the staked Aave contract. So this actually merges all of the Aave tokens that are staked and it's in this wallet. Then you have the ecosystem reserve. This is basically like a backstop if there was something bad to happen. So it looks like they got a good reserve on the worst case scenario. And then you got the Aave V2, which is the stake token. You got Balancer. Then you got Binance. What the snap, Binance, good times. Then you got Binance Peg tokens, Binance. Then you got Polygon Matic. All right, and then here is our first wallet address. Now, I don't know. This could also be an exchange as well because you see a bridge. You got FTX exchange, and then you possibly have this one as well. And it looks like most of these are actually exchanges. So as you can see here, this is even the DeFi Pulse Index. And then we start getting down. SushiSwap, Gemini. Oh, Justin Sun. Good times. Justin Sun has 0.37% of the supply. So he's got about $13 million worth. I'm not saying he's the biggest holder, but as you can see, it's pretty well distributed. Like you can scroll down and see these different addresses. And you can see there is literally 105,000 different holders. You can actually check out the token holders chart. It'll put you into like a little pie metric so you guys can see what's up. But literally, this is the breakdown. Like in my opinion, this is something you want to look for. Now you don't want to look for something that's like 1,000%, or not 1,000%, but like 80% to one person or two people. Now that's dangerous. But if you have 105,000 different holders, and you can see it's pretty well spread, that is something you want to look for. Now, of course, there are, I guess you can say little gray areas, like with these stake tokens. If this is one person staked or two people staked, which is not really likely. It's most likely multiple people. But this is just a distribution you kind of want to look for DeFi tokens. Now, Bitcoin and Ethereum are going to be more decentralized than this. We're obviously comparing apples to oranges. So the reason why I say for a DeFi token is because sometimes those are a bit more centralized in part. For someone who's farmed a bunch of it or the team itself had a bunch of it, and it really all just depends on the allocations. Now that you saw some of those metrics, I want to go ahead and sum up what we just talked about. So the first metric is check the activity on GitHub. Like we showed you guys how to get into the repositories so you guys can see how active they are and how many pools they've done in the past day, 2 days, past week. You want to look for some activity there. Check the Discord, Telegram, Twitter. Make sure those are pretty active. This is another pretty good metric that I use. This is on Aave. I took a screenshot of this about a few minutes ago. And you can see the Aave community. There's about 4,000 online out of about 20,000. Actually a pretty good percentage for a protocol that is a DeFi protocol. For something that is like an NFT project or a gaming project, I do want it a bit higher. But for a DeFi protocol, having 20% online out of the total members is actually a pretty good tall tale sign. Now, to figure out how active they are in the Discord, just leave a message. See if they come back to you within 30 minutes to an hour. And if you get a response between that time, it usually shows they're pretty active. If you don't get a response within 2 days, 3 days, you should probably look for something else. Now again, the other one is see how many dApps use them as a Lego. For example, Aave, the one we just showed you, is being used by Yearn Finance, My Finance, Beefy Finance, it's literally used by a bunch of different protocols. It's not just one or two. Next, you want to see the latest developments in the last months. So as in any partnerships, integrations, what's going on. Just like we mentioned on Aave, they have the Fantom release coming up. They have the CELO release coming up. They're constantly developing and growing. Because if you're not growing, well, you're dying. That's just how it rolls, especially in the crypto space. Now, what is the moat? Make sure they have something that is like sticking power. If a lot of people are using their protocol, then that's what's going to make them have more sticking power. Now, just because a protocol uses them doesn't mean they have a moat. A moat is more so something like, hey, this is something that can't be replaced because you have a dev that really knows how to develop and you also have a strong team that is able to meet on deadlines. Let me give you another example of another protocol that, in my opinion, has a pretty good moat. Look at Uniswap. A lot of people underestimate Uniswap. They're like, it's junk. It's Ethereum. We don't like it. Well, Uniswap is actually a very creative team. They have some of the best devs in the AMM space, so they're able to come up with some really, really creative concepts and ideas. One of my favorites is Uniswap v3. Uniswap v3, in my opinion, is like nuts and ham. Instead of using like $1 million to create deep liquidity or 100 million, you can actually do that with a lot less money with the concentrated liquidity. Because instead of distributing the liquidity across the 0 to infinite range, you can actually distribute it between a small specified range. So it'll give you deeper liquidity. In my opinion, creating something like that shows something about the devs and shows how creative they are to come up with stuff. And of course, lastly, like we went over, checking the token allocations on etherscan, polygonscan, Binance Scan, whatever chain you are on. Now, the whole reason for this video, guys, was to show you guys how to find the different tokens and protocols and strong communities that you need to look for. In my opinion, this is a bit of a community season. You want to look for strong communities, investing in people, not Ponzi's. There will be plenty of Ponzi's out there, but it's hard to find really good people. If you guys want to see the projects, communities, and teams I'm investing in, you guys can take a look at the Patreon link in the description below. That will take you to the Discord, and you'll be able to join in the Discord and see what I'm doing in the markets, as well as chat with some other DeFi degens just like you. And also what you can expect to get in the Discord is some exclusive content that I don't even show on YouTube. Let me go ahead and leave you guys with a wisdom one-liner. We're going to hit you guys with Proverbs chapter 20. Verses 12, I think it is. Yeah, it's going to be 12. Proverbs chapter 20, verses 12. Ears that hear and eyes that see. The Lord has made them both. What does that mean? It means your ears are good. Your eyes are good. Use them. And notice how he didn't mention anything about that mouth. You know this mouth that keeps on running, you only have one of? Yeah, let's shut up that mouth. Listen and take in stuff. That's the best thing to do. You guys can also catch me on tweeters. It's at rent a home fast, like literally at rent a home fast.